when you heard the news about the attempted assassination of Trump, how did you feel?
First, first of all, when I heard, I initially thought it was some joke, that some expensive joke that somebody had made.
Yeah.
And the reason why I felt it was a joke was that Donald Trump is not only the former president, he's been the president of the United States, which allows him a certain level of security, right?
Yeah.
And then secondly, he is, he was a nominee for the Republican Party,
Right.
which I would thought would call on those in authority
To take him seriously.
to take him seriously and to take his security seriously. This is not some third world African or some developing country where value isn't given to leaders in that way, where the sitting president would rather someone dies, right? Would rather the opposition leader dies.
Yeah.
It's not Africa. It's a whole different. So when I heard about the assassination attempt, I'm like, FBI, CIA, all the security agencies that the United States has, all the monitoring and all that, and they would miss it. That is what came to mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, he almost died. He was lucky.
Yeah.
I am. Some people say hand of God type thing, right? Divine intervention type.
Is it not divine providence?
It appears to me like it was pure. It was clear divine intervention.
Yeah.
He turned his head for a second.
The milliseconds, actually.
Millisecond.
Yeah.
And that is what happened. So it completely, for me, I was completely shocked by the news.
Yeah.
And then when I realized it was true, you can imagine how shocked I was, right?
Yeah.
How did you take it?
I share the same sentiments, and it's no secret that I love Trump. I've been a fan of his for a long time. But regardless, that highlighted a lot of security lapses that you have elaborated. I mean, just look at the building. Even if they hire you on the first day of the job, by your estimation, that should be one of the places that you have to secure. The top of that building. It's one of the few buildings that was around there, and somehow the guy managed to climb on that building with a rifle and aim at the former president. That was really sad. When I heard the news, my heart sank because one, I love Trump, and two, it was for me a huge disappointment in the United States as a whole and the Secret Service in particular, because you guys have been entrusted the life of a former president and the current nominee of the Republican Party. It's amazing to see the security lapses of a 20-year-old can manipulate your system without any sophistication. It
opened up. I've heard analysis and commentators making comments. There's a certain level of incompetence, or is it
only a certain level? It's ginormous incompetence. It's a complete failure. Even if this were to happen in Africa, it will be a total failure for the lack of security guarantee for someone of Trump's caliber. Even someone who's not as near as Donald Trump, who even hires regular security guards, they would have done a better job than those people.
Than the secret, yeah. And again, it's like, is someone compromised? Was this an inside job? Was someone from the agencies involved in a certain way? Did someone want Donald Trump dead?
Dead, yeah. Doesn't it sound like you must, like, how will you not believe in conspiracy theories? When you have an incident like this, you are almost forced to believe that it is an inside job. There is a deep state that they're trying to get him. There's something beyond our comprehension, or some people beyond our comprehension who are manipulating this world and trying to get people that oppose them. It is hard. It is so hard. For me, I find it easier to believe conspiracy theories than to say this was a deliberate, this was an unintentional security lapse. It's easier to believe that there is some unforeseen force or unseen force that is trying to bring Trump down and all the people that support him. They put the two together. will you say it was a genuine security lapse, or there's some force that is trying to get rid of the guy, which is easier to believe?
If you ask me, call me conspiracy theorists. I mean, I would definitely think that something
Yeah,
else was happening. I
right.
would not believe that this secret service would miss
Well,
something so
that's not
obvious.
like that. So
Would miss
obvious.
something so obvious. Even a beginner would know that the building that's
Yeah,
almost opposite the stage would have someone on it to ensure that something like this doesn't happen.
yeah, no.
I mean, they've also mentioned that this guy that there's been report about him
The
that
the Thomas, yeah,
he's not exactly some lone wolf, some guy just
yeah.
deciding to act on it. Like somebody definitely knows something,
Somebody knows something. Yeah, yeah,
and nobody's saying much. Even when I kind of watch the when this lady who runs the CIA was being questioned
yeah.
in the Senate. She
Did you get her
almost knew
answers?
nothing, and she
You
knew nothing to the point where you would think that she is just not wanting
say
to
something.
to, to say something, right?
Yes.
Because you don't. She had no idea about anything.
Like
All
the
she could say is,
incompetence.
I was going to defer back, and I was going to defer back to you. And most of the questions,
That's
that's all she said.
what she said. The sheer
That
incompetence that she
thing is, yeah.
displayed
Mm-hmm.
in that congressional
Mm-hmm.
hearing was
Yeah.
one to watch. It was amazing to watch how incompetent. If I had a high school student who was head of a secret service, I would expect
More.
more details from the high
Won't
school
you?
student than you.
If I mean, before you
Would you know
appear
the
in
timeline?
front of the Senate, don't you
Yeah,
go prep? Don't
Trey,
you have people who come to you and say, okay, this is the conversation that's going to happen.
yeah,
This is the information they might ask. Like
yeah.
you had no no additional information other than what we already
Other
know.
other than what everybody knows, and it's amazing that someone of her her experience was able to lead the Secret Service. That was just shocking, and it's an embarrassment for the United States, a huge embarrassment. And on the flip side, and you kind of alluded to this already, it shows that Trump is the kind of person that has divine favor. Anything that he touches, you know, it somehow grows and glows.
Mhm.
He has been protected by God. Someone not just people who carry that aura and they don't do anything to gain that. I mean, you have to work hard. That's normal. Many people work hard, but hard work does not bring the kind of grace
That
and
that that.
aura that
Mhm.
Trump has.
Mhm.
It's not given to anybody.
No.
It's not given to anybody. It's like, yeah, there's divine providence and there's divine providence. There are people who are anointed from birth that they are going to be special, and there's nothing you can do about that. Like, how can you explain that in a split second he turns to read the thing? Just turning about 2.5
Mhm.
inches makes a huge difference between life and death. How can you explain that?
There's no way he's supposed to be alive. He
This
could only be he's only alive now because some higher power
some higher power.
wanted him to be alive. And
Yeah.
again, who knows? I think things after the assassination attempt, I think things went really downhill for Joe Biden. I
It
mean, the
did. Yeah.
interview,
Yeah.
the debate that he had with Trump exposed a lot about him. But
Mm-hmm.
I get the feeling that once the assassination attempt happened, you know, people began to see a little bit more. I know nobody's, tying Joe Biden to this incident. Of course, nobody's doing that. But I think it's given people, uh, uh, it's pushed people to kind of look at Trump and what he is all about and why he's maybe so hated by some people, right? I mean, the layman on the street hearing that someone has this was almost they will probably want to go see why anyone would want to kill him. I I can't hear you. I think you're mute.
Yeah. Sorry. You hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of galvanizes a lot of Trump supporters first,
Hmm.
and then even people who are on the fence.
Hmm.
A lot of people start questioning what is it about this guy that they're really trying to get rid of
Yeah.
him. You know, and again, one of those things that it is so difficult not to believe the conspiracy theories. You know, a lot of Americans now, I imagine, will look at Trump more favorably. And if you're any politician, you're going to use this in your favor. I almost died because of you guys, and I'm going to fight for you guys. I'm sure that's going to be his message moving forward.
But he hasn't
And if
started. He's not even using
he
that
hasn't
yet.
even started
He
using that
hasn't
yet.
even started going into that yet, right?
Yeah,
Because again, why should he? He's already leading is in most of the polls
most of the
in most of the
polls.
states in the US. So why would I bring? No, that's a card that he's going to bring out. But again,
Oh,
I
that's
think
a
it's a
card
little
that is
too
going.
early.
Yeah, for
People
sure.
are
He's going
still
to
in
play that
shock.
card.
People are still in shock, and they're still dealing with what happened.
But
Give it a few weeks down the line. I'll definitely be talking about
yeah,
you
the
know
assassination.
the assassination a lot more often than he's
He's
doing
doing it
now.
right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, he has a smart campaign team and they know what they're doing. I'm sure they're going to use the information the way they didn't fit. But let's talk a little bit about what would have happened if that bullet had gone into that guy's head. And, and in the aftermath, sometimes I just sit by myself and I think, and I have palpitations. My thought is there would have been serious retaliation because there's a lot of people who support Trump in the
Mhm.
US, and there are
Mhm.
people who are willing to give their life for him. There are people who see him as the last hope for America,
Yes,
as the one to save them from their situations. I cannot imagine if he had been killed by that bullet, that there would not have been some level of an uprising. You know?
definitely. Definitely an uprising. Again, to what extent? Now that is it's anyone's guess, right?
Yeah.
If you consider the storming of the capital, um,
Right.
if you consider that,
January
and then
6th, yeah.
yeah, and then you consider what happened. Like then he only claimed that the elections were
Yeah.
stolen, and you see how people got up and tried as much as they could to. I don't know
Mere
if they were
words,
trying
yeah.
to try as much as they could to be heard.
Yeah.
Imagine if he was assassinated.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
how far people could go?
Yeah.
Because again, it will not be a matter of conspiracy. People would
No.
believe that
People will believe,
someone
yeah.
or a group of people, deep state, however I want to call
Yeah.
them, have taken him out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is definitely going to be the story that everyone is going to be talking about. How
Obviously.
somebody has plotted for his assassination.
Obviously, yeah.
And who
Yeah.
knows? Again, definitely civil unrest. It would not just
There
be
would have
people
been civil
people
unrest.
protesting. It would definitely would be guns out and people dying. I think. Fortunately, that's
Yeah.
not the case. But I would really worry
For me, I would
what would
not be
have happened.
exaggerating if I'm saying there would have been something close to a civil war. That might be an exaggeration, but there would have been some civil unrest, some pushback, some fight back, actually,
Mhm.
that would have had a lot more people killed and plunging the US in a very difficult position. Anyways, that's it.
Kamala Harris.
Uh, Kamala Harris.
That is that she's been crowned, ordained,
Yeah,
chosen.
well, can
What
you really
word do you want to
say
use?
can you really say that they're following the Democratic Party is following the nomination process?
No.
I can't because mostly everybody has endorsed her. She's the presumptive nominee before the elections.
Mhm.
I think the U.S. system is you have delegates from each state
Mhm.
and then they vote for the nominee. That one kind of what they did for the Republican National meeting or
Mhm.
whatever. Congress electors from various states come and say, okay, this is the person we choose to represent our party.
Mhm.
That has not even happened yet, but she has received endorsement from
Mhm.
almost the top Democratic leaders.
Mhm.
So for me, when I look at that, that's not a democratic process to vote someone to lead your party. That sounds more like a coronation. You know, I understand Joe Biden obviously has to support her because he picked her as his vice president. She
How
was
would you
vice.
not?
Yeah,
How
so
would you not
so
support
that's
the
the
person
fair
you
position.
picked to be your vice president?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or else you're telling us that you pick wrong. So that's a natural and logical position that he took. But almost every top Democrat has endorsed her.
Mhm.
You know, and I saw yesterday she's already on the campaign trail, campaigning, not campaigning to win
Just
uh,
into
um, the nomination of the party, but campaigning as
corporate.
if
Yeah.
she's already
Yeah.
the candidate. So for me, it's really coronation. It's not a nomination process that it's supposed to be followed by party. That was just my
The impression
statement.
I get is they really are no clear rules
And they will, yeah,
as to
exactly.
as to how they address a situation like
Yeah,
this. Do they go back and start primaries all over again because they have a new? Does the running mate step up and
yeah,
run? I don't think it was. They have really that someone had envisioned that something like this could happen, right?
yeah,
So, I guess they deal with it as best as they can. But
yeah.
my question is Kamala Harris the best candidate
I
the
don't think
Democrats
so.
have to put forth?
Personally, I don't think so. If we're going by what happened in the last election, she was the last Democrat on the ballot. I mean, she earned the least amount of votes
Hmm.
among Democrats,
Hmm.
and she's not that popular. Even as vice president, like what has she done as vice
She
president?
was
I mean, the only thing
she
that
was less popular than Joe Biden.
she was less popular for sure. Joe Biden was president, but I mean, the one thing that she was made in charge as vice president of the border security of the border, she
She
had
has
just made a
she
total
still
mess of it.
she still has
She, I
not
don't,
addressed that
she,
issue.
she has not addressed it.
she
So
she
I
went
think
there, I think, once or twice, and
once,
then she abandoned.
the other time she went to Guatemala and blah blah blah, and comes and she's talking about. But I think the Trump campaign is going to hammer on that she was in charge of the borders and she had just made it.
One thing,
Well, the one
and
thing
perhaps
that she was made in charge of.
a very key
Yeah,
component in this election, right? The
yeah,
border, the border
border.
is a big thing,
It
and
is a
then
big thing.
you had that in your portfolio as VP, and
Yeah.
basically did nothing about it.
Absolutely nothing. Actually, made it worse. So, I think the Trump campaign is going to hammer on that, and I don't think that she is a good, the most that the Democratic Party can put forth. The guy in California, Gavin Newsom, I do not like his policies, but he's very slick. He's very convincing. He's
Mhm.
very articulate.
Mhm.
Many are saying he was the one to run, but but a lot of big guns are throwing
Their weight behind
their
him,
their,
Kamala
their
Harris.
support on Kamala Harris. So I don't know how that's going to unfold. But she's presumptive nominee unless something extraordinary happens. She's the one going to represent the party.
Mhm.
I don't think she's the best candidate, obviously. Not that I care for her. I do not like her
I
policies to
don't
start with.
I don't think they even get a chance. I don't
Yeah,
think with her, I don't think they even get a chance.
yeah,
I
they don't get
think
a chance.
Donald Trump just walks through to president.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think Kamala Harris can put up a good fight. I don't think she
yeah.
can. She is not loved at all.
She's not
She
loved at
is not
all.
loved
Yeah,
even within the Democratic. I don't think she's loved as much as you would think.
yeah, yeah,
She
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is not she's not loved at
She's
all.
she's not that popular.
She has a
You
terrible
have to go
history with the
politics and
people
climbing
on
up
the
the ladder.
and people even the Black African American community in
African
the US.
American community, yeah.
They really don't like her that
At
much.
all.
So I don't know where her votes
Yeah.
are coming from. Because again, the African American community doesn't like you. You want to go get your votes from white men as
Yeah,
a
from
woman?
the Democratic Party. Yeah, I mean, because
No.
most Black Americans vote Democratic for the Democratic Party. So if you're not very popular among them, that is not a good sign. And a lot of Black people, especially Black men, Black American men, have been supporting Trump. The numbers of Trump,
A lot.
I mean, it's not above 30%, but it's a significant jump.
Mhm.
A significant jump for Black people, Black Americans to support a Republican candidate. It doesn't happen that way. And then Kamala Harris too. I think too it's a little too late for her. all of this happening is just too short. Had Joe Biden made this in January or February, you'd have
She would have had
given
some
her time to
time
galvanize,
to rebrand herself,
the brand
because again at
herself.
this point she's just in the shadow. I mean, when you see her, you see Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Technically speaking, how can
she
she
cannot
dissociate
dissociate. Yeah, she
herself
cannot. Yeah.
from the failures of Joe?
Of
No, how can she associate herself with Joe Biden's successes as
without
vice president and then dissociate
herself
herself
with the failures,
with the failures?
she cannot.
It's definitely a difficult line
It
to
is.
walk, right?
Yeah, it's
And again, 2 months, 3 months, no, not 3 months. A couple of months is not time enough
yeah,
to
yeah.
rebrand yourself and to really go out there and tell people how different you are
From Biden.
from Biden.
Well,
It's
we
definitely
know
not.
how different she is. She is far left than Biden. Biden was actually a moderate when he came in, but they, and I'll put Kamala Harris in that group. They have pulled him far left. You know, his her policies are crazy. She is very radical on abortion. She is very radical on the border. We can see the results. You
Mhm,
know, she made California, how do they call it in the US, sanctuary city, where
mhm,
illegal immigrants can come and still have a right to work and a right to healthcare and stuff like that. She was very lenient on crimes in California. Go and read about her history with criminals in California, how she led the place um, um, down the toilet, you know, made the place run rampant with criminals, you know. So, in terms of Joe Biden, he was very moderate as compared to Kamala Harris. You know, she is very far left, you know. And you have to go back to why he chose her in the first place, because she's a black woman, you know. And many will even argue that she's not black because her mother was born in India, you know.
I heard a debate today, um, this afternoon, with people arguing, just like you said, that he
Yeah,
was you. She can't consider herself black.
yeah,
She's really never associated herself with with
with
the
a black,
African American
yeah,
community. Um, she was raised by her mom, who is Indian or something
yeah,
like
her
that, and
mom is
so
Indian.
did not was not associated with the black community at
No,
all. She does not have the experience
yeah,
that people of the black community have had, right?
yeah, yeah,
She can identify a lot more with people from the Asian Indian community
India
as
coming,
opposed to, so black people are
yeah,
arguing that no, she's
yeah.
not one of us, and that
She's
was
not one.
really it was a really
And
serious debate anyway.
yeah, and that's people shooting themselves in the foot when you want to play identity politics. Oh,
Mhm,
I'm the first
mhm.
black woman, blah blah blah. I'm the first woman. I mean, when those are the things that you identify yourself first with before your policies, of course you're gonna get backlash when people begin to discover your background and realize, oh, your mom is from India,
Mhm.
your dad maybe from Jamaica, but you were principally raised by your mom.
By your mom.
So yeah, I guess we'll begin to get into it. I hope this sets the stage for what we want to talk about immigrants, how to vote, and we know that a lot of immigrants will be voting both in Canada and in America. For Canada next year, in America in November, a lot of immigrants who have adopted nationalities of different countries. There was a vote in the United Kingdom, has a lot of immigrants who have picked up
Mhm,
British citizenship.
mhm.
They have a lot of sway, you know, in the election and a lot to say too. So we are here. I'm just saying that Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, that sets the stage for the next part of the conversation.